action here. We're here to protest Andrew Bolt, well-known racist. We're here to protest Gary John's new book, Self-Determination, the Whitemans Dream. We're here to say self-determination has not happened, has not been tried, and that is the solution that we're fighting for in this country for Aboriginal issues. Self-determination now.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
What we do know that we've seen the stolen generations, the thoroughly discredited idea of stealing Aboriginal children and taking them away and dispersing that culture. That policy has failed. We've seen the idea of missions and the idea that Aboriginal culture must be limited and confined and constricted and strangled out. We have seen that policy fail. We've seen the ultimate genocidal policy of massacre after massacre. We've seen those policies fail in Australia. And these two men, Andrew Bolt and Gary Johns, are reissuing the very same policies. They are finding a space in the mainstream. They're trying to push them forward again, and they are being given airtime. And we are here to say we are not going to let that happen. Human rights and the right to self-determination is the only thing that is going to change anything for the better for Aboriginal people in this country.
Lives in eastern Alice Springs suburb. Best price not have to travel 200 kilometres to a supermarket.
If you don't realise that, I feel very sorry for you. Power and privilege means people. No. Speak of the people who've got no voice. Speak of the elders.
You've had our first and six of them.
I beg your pardon. And what are you doing about it?
Money for health and education.
Not for racist intervention.
Money for health and education.
Not for racist intervention.
Kooris, Maris, Nangas, Noongas, Yolngu, Numbin, all over this country still have their children, their work and their land stolen. In 2007, the invasion of the Northern Territory was, as it was in 1788, legalised and intense. In 2011, the Labour government continues with it, and they are shattering the lives of children, of men and women. Community control has been lost. Community councils have been disbanded. Community assets have been seized. Hundreds of jobs have been lost. Community control of justice process has been lost. Hardly any houses have been built, and services are denied to remote communities. Control of land is taken, and that land was won in struggle over many years.
And they actually launched it tonight. No, but the only trouble is, when I see 26 million spent to move Aboriginals with his work, and in 2 years they moved one job. That's not able to go. That's the
There's some communities. Making the money off the back of blacks like the business managers. How appropriate. Stop the intervention. Human rights for all. Stop the intervention. Human rights for all.
Come on, give it away.
What is that?
Come on, give it away.
On a shameful day, underneath the Irish tricolour, we again start this talk. When we talk about genocide, what that actually means is the destruction of culture. We have an absolute destruction of culture like the British tried to do in Ireland, not allowing language as the first step. This has been happening since 1788. It's happened all over the country, with only the last bastions of pure Indigenous culture staying on in the Northern Territory in small isolated pockets around the country. It's why it's a day of shame. So when we say genocide, we don't want to raise the picture so much of what we saw in World War II, but just this absolute slow destruction, slow and deliberate destruction of Aboriginal culture. This book actually says that Aboriginal culture belongs in a museum. And what European society has done time and time again with Indigenous people around the world has done one of three things. The first thing they've done is kill them wherever they could. The second thing they did was probably put them away in a camp, in some kind of a reservation or an area where they're away from the rest of society. And the third thing they always tried to do was make them white. And that's what we're seeing here. This is a make them white solution. Your culture is worthless, it's valueless, it belongs in the museum, it's time to become white. And that's exactly what they're saying. And this is exactly what they're advocating.
Always was, always will be.
Racist scum! Racist scum! Racist scum! Racist scum! Racist scum!
Have to support.
Now, genocidal acts have occurred since 1949, like deaths in custody, stealing our children, creating the conditions of life with the intent to destroy. That's what these concentration camps are, people. If you got all the concentration camps across Australia and put them on a map, it would blow your mind out. Then you can put the massacre sites that are recognised in this country on that same map. And tell me if you don't understand the meaning of genocide. Now, these pigs out here aren't racist. There's no such thing as racism. Australia is an institution of racism. It's chronically racist. Racist in the extreme, people. Premeditated criminal acts of genocide created this place. Cooper, her uncle was on St Kilda Road in 1938 outside the German consulate, protesting against the rise of fascism in Europe. Why? Because our people know what genocide is, people. Australia just hasn't contravened and breached everything as defined in that convention. They've redefined the meaning of the word genocide. Now, if you want a real constitution, we should come via the treaty with the first people of this land. We can have a legitimised society here, rather than a Nazi regime.
Undo vote! Screw racism! Undo vote! Screw racism!
We're having a protest. You can address the rest of the campaign.
If you want us to accommodate your protest, come and explain to me what's going on.
Okay, so all that going on. He was just asking, he wants to know why we're here and what the problem is in terms of why we're here. We've heard for the last 4 years, we've heard proponents of the intervention, like Ginny Macklin, standing up and saying that this policy is about improving the lives of Aboriginal people, protecting children. This policy, we can see very clearly now, has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with protecting Aboriginal people. Incredible hypocrisy. On the one hand, saying that actually they've apologised for the stolen generations. They're talking about now having Aboriginal people involved and recognised in the Constitution. That means absolutely nothing when they're continuing this failed policy on the Northern Territory intervention. And I think those are the sorts of things we have to continue to say, push into workplaces, push onto the campuses, and continue to fight around.
The policy of genocide actually began in this country. The latest case of that genocide was made in the Northern Territory intervention, where we seen the federalistic policy that was looked at Aboriginal men and citizens in the 1920s We see policies which are close